Hello and welcome back to the Money and More Show. I'm Don Emmett, Managing Director of Entrust Associates. This is the Small Business Insights edition of the Money and More Show. And we have today with us a special guest, Mr. Al Bowers.
Good morning.
Al's the owner and proprietor of Al's Burger Shack here in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And also had a career in real estate and various other endeavors. So, Al, welcome. And
Well, thanks for having me. Excited about being here.
all right, great. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Al's Burger Shack? Well, one of the best new restaurants a couple of years ago in town.
well,
And how you got there?
Well, thanks for that. We've been very, very fortunate. The reception from the community has been, beyond our wildest dreams. But I was managing Merit Store, the BLT store, before
Okay.
I opened up the shack, and
Famous, kind of a famous
it is.
place right
It
here in
is.
Chapel Hill, right
Yeah.
right off of the UNC campus.
Yeah, it still is a great place. The best BLT you'll ever find, and so lots of good experience there. And we opened up Al's Burger Shack September 18th, 2013.
Oh, okay.
Coincidentally, that is National Cheeseburger Day.
Okay. You
Planned?
coming up on your third anniversary then.
Yes, sir. We are indeed, and very excited about that. Very fortunate.
So, tell us a little about
I guess
the idea and
you've got to go back to probably I was 7 or 8 years old, and my first recollection of eating out was at the Speedy Lunch in Chase City, Virginia, where my mother grew up. And it was a very small lunch counter, and the meal I had was a cheeseburger with lettuce, tomato, mayonnaise, some French fries, and a vanilla milkshake. And so I guess I've been chasing that for a long time. But when I left Merit's, I knew I wanted to do something on my own. I'd been in the restaurant business since college, well, even in high school. Mm-hmm. And the space became available, and I talked to the landlord. I'd known him through real estate, and said I had an idea. We signed a lease about a month later, and we've been there ever since. We wanted to do it a little differently. We wanted to make sure that we used a local source beef, free of any antibiotics or hormones, and it's pasture-raised beef from Mills Family Farm out near Lake Norman.
okay.
And so you start with a really good product, and we think it's one of the best. You know, my kids and my wife, during that summer before we opened, were, "Daddy, please don't bring any more hamburgers home." So we tried a lot of different farms around, and decided on that one. And it's been a great collaboration with the farm.
And does Al's, do you grind your own?
No, they grind it for us.
They grind it for us?
Yeah. We have a very, very limited space.
Okay.
Yeah, we're about 670 square feet, so not a lot of room to do much. But we pack a big punch in that small space.
So after being named the best new restaurant in 2014, 15?
In 2014, through the Independent, we were named best new restaurant in Orange and Chatham County.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
And passing by here, and Al's is located right on
516 West Franklin Street, on
Someone-
the corner of North Graham and Franklin.
for our out-of-town listeners, since we are streaming at WCOMFM.org, in addition to our local coverage at 103.5 on the FM dial. Franklin Street is the main drag in Chapel Hill, which is a college town for the most part. It's the home of the Tar Heels, the University of North Carolina, the flagship university of the North Carolina State University system. Recently ranked one of the 38 best universities in the world. It was in the paper last week.
That's pretty good.
So it's a quintessential college town, and Franklin Street is quintessential college boulevard. And when you see generally a sporting event on TV at Chapel Hill, often they'll have a camera set up on Franklin Street, and that'll be where the students will celebrate if there's a championship is won. And Al's Burgers is right on historic Franklin Street, so
Yeah.
pretty cool.
It is. It is. We this past year we were in the semifinals for men's basketball, and we closed early that Saturday night so the staff could get out there and watch the game. And then we did the same on Monday for the championship.
For the finals.
For the final, yeah.
Missed it by that much.
That was tough, but so happy for that group of seniors because they've put in a lot of work and just a really nice group of young men.
So, speaking of, to your space limitations, one of my usual question is, what's your growth strategy? Are you happy with being in your current?
We are very, very happy with our current space. It's very manageable. It has really forced us to be incredibly efficient, and shown us how to work with less. And I'm very grateful for that for the staff because they don't whine about it or anything. They go to work, and I think we set that challenge to them initially, and we still have 3 of our original employees from 2.5 years ago, or almost 3 years ago, and that's pretty good in this industry. And we have multiple employees that have been there 15, 18 months plus, so very, very lucky in that regard.
I'm going to touch more on the employee strategy in a moment, but I want to dig a little deeper into the growth strategy. So we recently a new player on it's not on Franklin Street, it's here in Carrboro on Main Street, the Rise Donuts and Biscuit.
Yes.
Which was a local Durham restaurateur opened up in Durham, the next town over, and now he's gotten into franchising, it appears, and recently opened an outlet here in Carrboro, I think a couple of more in Raleigh and elsewhere. So I'm sure you've been approached by somebody or about another location, or you've thought about other locations or franchising. What's your thoughts there?
We have, and we started with the food truck that we have now, and it's slowly gaining some traction in the food truck industry around town, around the Triangle, and so very, very happy with the progress we've made.
Okay.
And we would like to grow the concept. No hurry to do that.
Okay.
But it's certainly something down the road we'd like to get into.
So I speak to a lot of small business owners, and it's a challenging endeavor for small business.
No doubt about it. No
And
doubt about it.
One of the probably most difficult pieces of that is the employee piece, the human resources piece. Attracting, retaining, motivating your employees. And it sounds like you have a great core. What's your strategies or
Well,
policies on that?
I mean, you've got to find like-minded folks to, go into this venture with you. And we let our staff take a lot of ownership in preparation and product development, things like that. We pay them well above industry standards.
Okay.
That's very important to me, that I don't have to employ somebody that works 3 or 4 jobs to, I'd rather have somebody just committed to us that wants to grow with us, and let's pay them. And that has paid off. I mean, that's been a big part of our retention. But when I talk to folks, I make sure, one, they're nice people.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to train that. I mean, I feel like I could, with the help of our staff that's been there, any new employee, we feel like they're nice and willing to work hard. We can train them to do it the way we want it done, and so that's our main criterion, I guess.
Okay.
If it's one big one, so they have to be nice, and we want to spend some quality time with them, and then we can go from there.
And I think that's I don't know if it's a dogma that you see reading some of the business books there, where you hire for customer service.
Absolutely.
And you can't train conscientiousness,
No.
but you can train people to operate your policies and procedures, as opposed to hiring someone that's maybe skilled in the restaurant industry that
Right.
has a bad attitude.
Well, and sometimes, unfortunately, bad habits.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I often will, one of my best employees ever, she had no restaurant experience, and 2.5 years later, I mean, she's still with us. We hired her a month after we opened, and she's a natural. But the main thing, she's pretty nice, and she's very smart, and so that's a good combination.
In terms of, I guess you kind of become a sensation. There was a lot of word of mouth. Do you have a customer acquisition strategy, or is just you're a well-known commodity in the Chapel Hill community? How do you?
Well, thank you for
How do you-
that.
how do you get- How do you keep those lines?
It still blows my mind that someone would think of me as a celebrity. But we just try to do what we do and not waver from that. We like our formula, and we talk about a 4 walls theory all the time, but we just don't really think about what other people are doing. If we do and take care of what's in our 4 walls, and we like our chances. I think you develop consistency that way, which is, I think, what most guests are looking for. And we think we've accomplished that to a degree.
So, I guess that allows you, in terms of marketing then, or social media, do you almost not have to do that, or do you?
No. I think you have to do that because so many of our guests are part of it, and or take part in social media, and it's a way for us, I found, to engage our guests almost from on a daily basis with our burger special of the day. It's huge, and but it keeps our guests involved in what we're doing, and they have a stake in it.
So how
I
are you
like
getting?
that.
And so How are you
We-
getting that word out? You
We
tweet,
do.
you're tweeting.
We
you,
do Facebook, Instagram. We tweet, and I'm still trying to figure it all out. So, but one of the things that I learned early on is how to delegate.
Okay.
and so my wife does all of our social media.
Okay. Yeah. So that seems to be within the past 5 to 10 years an essential part of almost any business is
Yeah.
someone has to be watching and or doing the social media component.
Absolutely. It's vital, and we've been fortunate enough to have that good word of mouth around town, but we don't lose sight of the importance of social media.
But I guess even, as we've seen this, the negative impact of social media with this horrible story with Leslie Jones, with Ghostbusters, and it became a whole, people attacking her, and
Yeah.
so it's almost, you have to not just be promoting, but I guess also kind of play defense if for some reason someone puts a negative review up, or might be a competitor or somebody that just look.
You have no way of knowing that, and it's frustrating when you get those bad reviews, but we try to really look at what was said, and if it's something that is a legitimate complaint, then we look at it and we use it as motivation to make sure it doesn't happen again. But you're going to have those that are just, there's some folks that have put up some bad reviews, and when you go in,
happen.
yeah, and when you go in, you go into a little more backstory on them, you see that, you should read some of their other reviews, and they've been pretty consistent about, with some other places. So you just take the good with the bad, and we just try to make sure that we every day do what we do, and like I said before, we like our chances if we do our jobs.
Was there a time or an event when you knew, because I'm sure there was a bit of trepidation going into this,
Of course.
and anxiety. When did you know that I think we got it? I think this is going to fly.
Summer of 2014, when sales, because we opened in September of 2013.
The college kids are
Fall,
here.
and it's football season, and
Chapel Hill's a busier town.
and we put the word out pretty early, Don, just to make sure that the buzz was created. But then, as you know, we don't have a lot of indoor seating, and so
Right.
when late November and December hit, there was some sleepless nights, because how in the world we're going to get through winter.
Right.
And then March came around, and you saw the momentum building, and then when we were able to sustain that, when the kids left after spring semester of 2014, that's when I felt like we had a shot.
And being able to, because the Chapel Hill Carborough area does get a bit quieter in the summers when.
Oh, yeah.
When the,
And it's not just the students.
When schools are out and vacations, and people are traveling. And
Yeah. It's the admin staff at UNC.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty wide net of folks that when the university goes from spring semester to summer school, the town decreases in population. So yeah.
And we saw, I guess recently, I met the people at a chamber event. It was right here in Carborough. There was a Tom and Chi. It was a Shark Tank endeavor franchise, and they opened here in Carborough, and they opened, I think, in the last summer of 15, and I actually didn't get a chance to get there. Not sure what their issues were, but Carrboro was a little bit further from campus, and they seemed to be able to. They've since closed up shop. So.
It's a tough business, no doubt about it.
And in the Chapel Hill, Carrboro area, they're not lacking for eating opportunities. How many restaurants, are there in Chapel Hill, Carrboro?
I would say at least 100.
And how many places you said, I want to get a hamburger today? How many choices would your hamburger consumer have?
Probably 50.
Yeah, so
It's we all grew up eating them,
Yeah.
and over the last 4 or 5 years, there's been a resurgence of, and a bunch of new hamburger joints have opened up nationally.
And you would think, that's a commodity when that has been, already seen, that has already been staked out by the McDonald's and the Wendy's. But now the Five Guys, but I guess, you've proven that there's always a room for, a premium product and product.
Well, we have a saying, good is good, y'all, and so that's what we strive to be, and there are some really other good hamburger options in town, no doubt about it.
Also, seeing Danny with the Shake Shack has done.
Danny Meyer,
Danny
yeah.
Meyer. He was somewhat a legend in hospitality.
Well, I mean, he was a legend before Shake Shack, and then when he put that concept on the market a few years ago,
He took it public to great success.
Yeah, last year, and he's done very well, and it's certainly a model that we've looked at for sure. He's been very successful with it, and it's good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, okay. So we're just about to wrap up. Being someone that deals in exit strategies, you're a young man, and I know your probably retirement's a bit far off. But what, if any, exit strategies do you have?
Well, I think that for me, I would love to have a bunch of Al's Burger Shacks and just either head down to Charleston or Bald Head or somewhere and just cook hamburgers, as long as I can stand to cook them. Oh, excuse me, as long as I can stand up.
That sounds like a great plan, and the people of Chapel Hill and Carrboro and any other location where you decide to open will definitely appreciate that.
That would be fantastic, and like I said, this is where we live. We love our community, and they have been so welcoming and receptive to us.
Why don't you tell people how they could contact you, or I guess you do takeout, I would assume,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, I know you do some catering.
AlsBurgerShack.com, and our number at the restaurant, 919-904-7659. Or you can contact me directly, Al at AlsBurgerShack.com.
That works.
Easy peasy.
And I recommend, if you haven't been to Al's, you're missing out. So it's a great place and a great town, and Al's a great guy and a great business person in the community.
Well, thank you for the kind words, and we appreciate it.
Well, this is Don Emmett, Managing Director of Entrust Associates, who's our sponsor here. We want to thank them for underwriting the Money and More show, the Small Business Insights portion. And thank you for tuning in and listening. And we're going to turn you over to our regularly scheduled program. Thank you.